Jeremiah, thanks so much for doing this. You're the CEO of Island Explorer Holidays and chairman of HOTL Association, and you also represent Batik Air here. Just give us a little bit about all these things you do and how do you find the time to do that here in Timor-Leste or in Dili?
Oh, Gerard, thanks for doing this interview.
It's an honor.
Well, I think all these companies have a same kind of vein, which is that it's all involved in travel and tourism. And of course, HOTL Association is an association that represents private sector companies operating across the travel and tourism and hospitality industry here in Timor-Leste. So by and large, most of my work is related to travel and tourism here.
Mm-hmm. And what about Batik Air? Because that's pretty interesting. They're now flying direct from Kuala Lumpur to Timor-Leste. And were you part of putting that together also?
Yes, I think that Batik Air has been working to come to Timor-Leste for more than a year. And thanks to great efforts by both Batik Air and also the Malaysian ambassador in Timor-Leste, and also both the governments of Malaysia and Timor-Leste that have collaborated extensively to make this flight happen. My previous experience was also in the airlines industry, where I was a director for Air Timor, and through that we actually had some early engagements with Batik Air during the COVID time, and subsequently it has evolved to now working together with them as a representative here.
Right, 15 years on the ground. You've lived in Dili since 2010. Now, I guess that the big question is, and I know it's out there on YouTube, but I have to ask you again, what first brought you here and what has kept you here for 15 years?
Well, I first came working for actually a Singapore foreign investor, and that was also in the world of tourism and travel. The project was to develop a kind of a huge hotel complex with a lot of other facilities, like shop lots and accommodations, and it was a very big township kind of development. So that's what initially brought me here to Timor-Leste. And that also exposed me a lot to the travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. And that was way back in 2010. What has kept me here? Well, a few things. First, I believe that there's something about calling in life. And I've always wanted to see a country develop. I'm from a small town of Elosta. I grew up there, and has kind of the same vibe and feel of Elosta here, where things are nice, it's a close community, people know each other, and I found that very fun and attractive to be staying here. Of course, I also met my wife here when she came also to work for another international organization, and because we met here, we have built our family and life here, and that's kept me here for 15 years.
Well, what a romantic story.
It's very romantic.
It's a very romantic story. But I guess before we came here, and you know, when I told people I'm coming to Timor-Leste, straight away, you know, it's a risky place. You get all this, you know. Oh, it's risky. Be careful. There's a lot of trouble there. What is daily life actually like in Dili, in the capital of Timor-Leste?
Well, daily life is very safe. I feel very safe here. I think my whole family feels very safe here. I can let my children walk around the local neighborhoods. They have friends here. I think it's a very safe place. They're a small, tight-knit community. All our neighbors know who our kids are. You know, I've had an incident where I went to a kiosk, which is like a sundry shop, to buy things. I actually left my house keys there, and the kiosk owner would bring it back to my house and say, excuse me, you left your keys here. I mean, it's that kind of a nice, close-knit kind of a community over here. So that is really very safe. I think people here are very respectful one to another. And one of the, I suppose, biggest opportunities of being in Timor is this perception difference between what is the reality and what is the risk. I think like what you said, a lot of people's perception is that this place is very risky, it's not safe, and it's a very difficult place to come. But the actual perception, the actual reality on the ground is that it's actually a very amazing place with a lot of opportunities and great people and a great community here. So I think that this itself, like some of the great investors would say, when there's such a big difference between actual risk and the actual reality, you know, people's perception of risk and the actual reality, this huge difference, therein lies a huge opportunity for people to come to this place and to invest and to help the place grow.
One name I keep hearing over and over again in Dili is that of Dato' Amarjit Singh, our Malaysia's ambassador to Timor-Leste. Now, I hear that he's a binding factor for Malaysians and for also a lot of Timorese. A lot of people have got a lot of regards for him, a lot of respect for him. Please tell us about him.
Well, I certainly have the highest regards for Dato' Amarjit Singh. I think he's been an absolutely incredible Malaysian ambassador. His presence here has gathered the Malaysian community together like no other. I think that Malaysians here all feel that we have a family here among the Malaysians because of the amount of work and enthusiasm that Dato' Amarjit himself brings. You know, he would call Malaysians together. There will be so many celebrations.
How many here?
I think we are close to 200 Malaysians here.
Right. And you all are very close-knit?
We are very close-knit. I think Dato' Amarjit has gone the distance to make sure that every major Malaysian festival is celebrated. We even celebrated Gawai, we celebrate Keamatan, we, you know, not just the Chinese New Year, Hari Raya and Christmas and Deepavali, but he goes all out to be very inclusive. And he also, I know, he also personally reaches out to all the Malaysians, catch up with them once in a while, you know, that kind of just personal touch to get to know them, what they're doing, and just to let them know that he is the Malaysian ambassador and the Malaysian house is open for them, and that what the Malaysian embassy can do to support the to Malaysians here. I think he always expresses that open door, and I think that has made Malaysians feel so much at ease. And absolutely amazing ambassador.
Now, I'd like to move into the hospitality sector, something you have a lot of experience in. And I'd like to go back to when Pope Francis, or the late Pope Francis, visited. How did the city and the hospitality sector cope? You know, we've got occupancy, rates, transport, last mile logistics. What worked and probably what didn't? Because when you come here, you see the size of the island, you think there's a lot more development which needs to take place, but still events happen, things happen.
What worked? Well, I thought that trip went phenomenally well. The visit by Pope Francis went phenomenally well, in my opinion. And I think it's shared across the country. Being able to organize, for example, the Mass at Tasitolu, 600,000 people, no small feat for a small country. You know, it's almost like half the population turning out at one particular site. I think everything went incredibly well. The city became cleaner than what it ever was. I think the people rallied together because Pope Francis was such a unifying figure here in Timor-Leste. I think the hotels all did very well, and I think everyone learned a lot about protocol, about safety, about what are international expectations. In terms of hotels and restaurants, I think everyone coped well because the crowd was primarily from here. It wasn't like there was a huge deluge of foreign visitors coming. I mean, the Pope Francis and his entourage were quite a big team, but it was something that the local capacity could still cope with. Mm-hmm. But it was incredible. It was incredible seeing the spirit of the country where everyone was so excited. It was public holidays. Everyone was out on the road. Everybody came out to cheer for Pope Francis. I think it was quite an event that would be memorable to every Timorians and every foreigner who was here, probably.
Now, whilst we're here, we understand, of course, we're here on the heels of PMX coming to Dili, and that's going to be a huge thing because this is the last mile before it's Timor-Leste's accession into ASEAN. Now, with PMX's visit, and what do you think is the take-up rate? What do you expect with regards to hotels, flight, drivers, venues, and will Dili be able to manage this surge also? Because it's a very exciting time and a lot of business people are going to be here too.
Yes, it is truly a very exciting time. I think that Dili will definitely be able to manage. Timor-Leste has had the privilege and honor to host many heads of states, including also the Sultan of Brunei. They've also hosted the President of India. So they've hosted major dignitaries before, and I believe that they are also putting in one of the biggest efforts I've seen to welcome PMX because of the role that Malaysia has played in helping Timor-Leste all through the years, and also now in particular in Timor-Leste's ascension process to ASEAN.
Right. So I think that the bigger question would be for Malaysians coming on the heels of the visit of PMX. We'll have press people, we'll have government people, we'll have just business people wanting to come across. What would be your advice to them at this point?
I think that there is a lot of goodwill toward Malaysian business people. First, I think that there has been such a long history of friendship between the two countries. So that goodwill, I think, can go a long way. Second, there's a similarity in language where a lot of people here can understand and speak Bahasa. And this itself creates a kind of a bond, you know, and it makes business processes easier. I think that it is well known here the role Malaysia has played to really push for Timor-Leste's entry into ASEAN, and generally I think people are very much in favor of looking to do business with Malaysians. So for business delegations who come, you know, people who accompany the Prime Minister or people who are exploring coming to Timor-Leste, I think especially when Timor joins ASEAN, this is a really, really good opportunity to explore this country.
So if Malaysians are coming, so I'm going to push this buck a little further and say, if it comes to food, for vegetarians, for those looking for halal food, and they're coming to cover the event, what should they expect? Or I mean, how do they go about doing this?
Right, I think that there might not be just purely vegetarian restaurants, but most restaurants would be able to serve you vegetarian food. Again, also when it comes to halal food, there is no halal certification here, but there's a huge Muslim community here from Indonesia, and also a minority here in Timor-Leste who are Muslim. So there are definitely restaurants and ability to produce food that is suitable for consumption for Muslims. I think that also this year, Dato' Zahid came and also tried and worked, and I think it's some ongoing work on the Halal Hub, establishing halal standards here in Timor-Leste, especially as Timor-Leste moves into ASEAN. So I see this as something that will progress quite significantly in the years to come.
Right. Now, let's talk about ASEAN investors. You hear a lot about people wanting to invest in Timor, then they're on the back foot, and then they're excited again. And when I talk about ASEAN investors, I also like to talk about, especially people from our country, Malaysians. What do they need to know before they enter? The easiest wins, the common pitfalls, and the do's and don'ts that you've learned being here as a businessman and also working in the hospitality industry?
Well, let's go one by one.
It's a tough one.
Oh, it's a long one.
Yeah.
Well, easiest wins. I tend to think that there are not so many easy wins here in Timor-Leste. You have to work hard, you have to have patience and endurance to start businesses here. Having said that, I think that I have seen a number of Malaysian companies who do consultancy work, for example, in engineering or project management work, and they have gained much inroads. And perhaps you could say that those were easy wins. You know, they came to see the country, and then they tried to bid for work, and then they actually got work here. So I think that Malaysians being, I think, technically very capable in professional fields such as engineering work, there's a huge opportunity there. I think a lot of other business people will tell you that there are a lot of opportunities here, but you do need people on the ground to enable that business to succeed. What are common pitfalls? Yeah, I think again, if you just come and expect a windfall, well, then that's not going to really work. I think come with a heart to want to participate in the development of a country, to participate in the development of the young people, of the youth, and to grow together with the country, then I think that one's business would succeed. So I think trying to get rich quick, for example, might be a common pitfall.
So this would speak to SMEs or startups with young people in Malaysia. We've got a healthy, what do you call it? A demographic of young people here in Timor-Leste. So would you also speak to the startups in Malaysia with young people doing a lot in Kuala Lumpur at this point?
Yeah, I think that one can see the development status of Malaysia has progressed beyond that which is of Timor-Leste, and ideas that have worked in Malaysia, if people learn from that and then come and understand where Timor is today, and then understand this was how Malaysia went from A to B and now we are here. So we have the opportunity of hindsight. You know, that is a great blessing. We have hindsight. We know how it came from here to here. Well, now, with all that knowledge and experience, you can come back to here and replicate the same thing. So I think that those are opportunities that young people and companies should look at to understand this is where Timor is and this is where it will go, considering this is the path of development most countries go. And they can even help Timor jumpstart certain things, like, you know, we don't have to go through all these things because now there is technology, there's digitization, there's AI, there's so many other technologies available that maybe Timor-Leste could leapfrog all these steps that Malaysia had to take and make a big jump. And that is also possible. What's needed is really the vision and then the perseverance to make it happen here.
Right. Now, beyond oil and gas, and I think I've heard a lot about the greater sunrise, and I don't want to go there. Let's talk about which sectors are moving now, like tourism, niches, depending on which part of the English-speaking world you're from, agriculture, services. Where can Malaysian partners plug in very quickly if they want to come in soon, just after, say, Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN? Is that even a valid question?
Oh yeah, it is a valid question. I think that it's good to understand where Timor-Leste's visionary leaders want the country to go and to come alongside them. There is a lot of emphasis on the diversification of the economy. I think that, like you said, oil and gas is something, but it's also something that the country knows they have to diversify away from, and they have identified agriculture and tourism as some of the main pillars. And when you come to Timor-Leste to look at the current baseline, then you would see that there is almost zero industrial agriculture, and tourism is just starting to grow. So there is huge opportunities. Of course, we must also ask ourselves, why is it that there is no industrial agriculture, for example, or bigger scale agriculture, or even sizable medium-sized farms? There's not really a lot of them, if any, here. Why hasn't tourism boomed like maybe Bali or another destination? And it's in understanding that why that we can try to plug in and solve those problems.
Right. Now, Malaysia has backed Timor-Leste's ASEAN journey with Tokmat or Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan at Foreign Affairs pushing for regional cooperation. Where can Malaysia add the most value in the next, let's say, 12 or 18 months? Let's think in the short term, where can we value add? The private sector and the public sector.
I think one thing that Malaysia has already value added a lot is connectivity. The Batik Air flights twice a week, and there is plans to make it go to 3 times a week, has helped Timor-Leste get more connectivity both ways, right? People coming in and people going to Malaysia. It's opened up, for example, educational and health sector opportunities for Timor-Leste nationals who now, I think there are already groups going to Malaysia for education and for healthcare. So Malaysia, in a way, just through these flights has already created a lot of, I think, benefits for Timorians going there. And for Malaysians, I think that they should come and explore Timor, come and explore the great, untouched natural beauty of Timor. Come and explore the oceans. You know,
You were saying something about swimming with the dolphins.
swimming with the blue whales.
The blue whales.
The blue whale,
Right.
yes.
Right.
So
I was told dolphins, it's blue whales.
is the blue whale. So the waters just in front of Dili, the waters between Dili and Atauro, go on a boat during November, you will see these huge numbers of blue whales migrating through, and one can have the opportunity to snorkel, swim beside a blue whale. It is something that you might not get to do in any part of the world. The waters of Timor-Leste are pristine. The coral reefs are unbleached. The reefs around Atauro have the highest biodiversity of coral life in the whole world, and the oceans have the highest biodiversity of dolphins and whales in the whole world. It's absolutely amazing. So these are incredible. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for dive operators, people who have the experience to operate responsibly and sustainably. I think that they should consider, because it is not just coming to help develop the marine tourism sector, but to develop it in a way that will be sustainable, that will make sure the coral reefs are sustainable in a very long term, that will make sure the biodiversity of whales, dolphins will always be maintained. And that has to be done very responsibly and very sustainably.
Right. So you're saying this, but on the flip side of that, for a Malaysian to travel, say, wish, mahal lah tiket kalau nak sampai ke Timor-Leste. Then kalau sampai ke sana, we have to use the American dollar. So those are kind of the disadvantages. But what is the advantages of this? You know, of course, you talked about an amazing biodiversity. You talked about swimming with the blue whales. That's some amazing stuff. But for those of us who are not into, you know, seeing stuff like this, what other things can we do?
There's a lot more things that you can do in Timor-Leste. Of course, a lot of people talk about the cost, right? But, well, think about it this way. You can come to a place where you are unlikely to meet any other tourists. Or, you know, it's not like a very crowded place like Bali. You will come to a beautiful white sand beach. There will be nobody. It's just you. Where do you find this in the world? Very, very few places like that. So you have a lot of raw, untouched kind of potential. It's like, I suppose people who went to Bali in the early 60s and 70s, you know, you get that kind of vibe. And so Timor has that kind of a vibe right now. You come and it's an exciting, unexplored place, like
it's
the
raw
tagline.
and real,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
raw and real. I mean, the tourism tagline is to explore the undiscovered. So it's really undiscovered, and lots of things to explore. The mountains, mountain biking, bird watching, the culture, the people, the history. I mean, this is such an incredible place.
Right, and also a lot of people don't talk about this when traveling, but because I come from a Catholic family, my mother is a Roman Catholic, and saw my sisters, I see that there are a lot of churches here, and you know, I don't know if people make pilgrimages here to visit churches, the Cristo Rey, and I mean places like these within Dili. Does that happen here?
I think that it does happen. I think the Cristo Rey is a very big draw. And
that's a present from Indonesia. Yeah?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And the churches here, all around the country, the Catholic churches here, they are absolutely beautiful. They're just beautiful. And they are all over the country, on hilltops, on just very beautiful places to visit in and of itself.
I guess to close this interview, for Malaysians watching, why Timor-Leste? Why now? And what first step would you recommend they take?
Why Timor-Leste? Well, because there are a lot of opportunities here. There's a lot of untapped potential. Come and explore the undiscovered. Well, why now? Well, more and more people are coming, right? There's something called first mover advantage. I think like the industries that I mentioned earlier, they are by and large still untapped, unexplored, undeveloped. And if you were to come to Timor, I think most people who come to Timor, the number one thing they see is opportunities everywhere. The question is, do you have the perseverance to come, and do you have the heart to want to come and work with the young people of Timor, with the leaders of Timor, to develop this country into its full potential? And now with more and more flights coming, right, and it's not just from Malaysia, maybe there will be other sectors opening up. there will just be more and more people. And so if you don't do it now, then we can say bila lagi.
Yeah. You don't do it now, bila lagi.
Bila lagi.
On that note, Jeremiah Chan, it was a pleasure and an honor speaking to you. I hope to come back to Delhi and spend some time here with you and probably teach me how to swim with the blue whales.
Oh, you have to come and do it.
Brother.
Thanks, Gerard. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.